Hey, this is Scoots. If you fall asleep fast, I'm really trying to get your attention with this voice, so please pause a second, okay? But if you aren't in a position to support the show, if you're new, you only listen occasionally, you're just going through a tough time, don't worry about this message. We've got you. Listeners like Stephanie support the show, so you don't need to worry about it. But if you fall asleep fast, it's really tough to keep the podcast going in a way that benefits fall asleep fast listeners. It really comes down to fall asleep fast listeners supporting the show, which is, I guess, irony and paradox. Because if you fall asleep within 5 minutes, why would you support the show, right? If Fall Asleep Fast listeners don't support the show, it just can't even exist. Pretty weird conundrum, unique to shows like Sleep With Me. So I don't know, is your why strong enough? Fall Asleep Fast, is that a big enough why to support the show? Would the show not being here be strong enough a why for you to support the show? Or is there something else, like something like Stephanie said? Stephanie's been listening to the show for 8 years, and I had the same experience Scooter describes all the time. Tried it, disliked it, didn't get it, and then I was traveling and I gave it another try, and I fall asleep really quickly now, and it's completely worth supporting the show. In tough times, Sleep With Me's been there, and I feel like I spend so much money on things that have no meaning in my life. This show means so much to me that I can't help but be a supporter. In the past, I felt like other people would take care of it for me, like there was people with limitless money that should be doing the part for the rest of us. But once I really thought about how I spend my money and my deep relationship with the show, I realized I am one of those people who should be a supporter. It took a while to step up, but I did. Scooter works hard for us, so do a bunch of other people, too. And hard work deserves fair compensation. I just hope my support is helping. Well, it is, Stephanie, and it's helpful to hear your why. And if you've got a why, but you haven't supported the show, you could support the show because of your why right now, especially if you fall asleep fast at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. But then I'm going to send you a video. I'd love to hear your why of why you're about to sign up and support the show. Or, you could be hopeful like me that someone else has a why out there and they fall asleep fast and they're going to sign up tonight. But if it's you, you could do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks.
If your eyes are the windows to your soul and your glasses are the windows to your eyes, then it's pretty important to find your perfect frames. That's why at Warby Parker, we've made shopping for eyewear as easy and fun as can be. Peruse endless styles in our stores, or use our app to virtually try on frames and get personalized recommendations. To find your next favorite pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to locate your nearest Warby Parker store, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the first time I've had to pause in the middle of that right after I said, because did I even say an intro? Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Reason I'm off track already is my hair was brushed. I need a haircut. Apparently I need a haircut, but usually the headphones hold my hair. I don't know if this was an 80s song. The headphones hold my hair out of my face. I think in the 80s, and it'd be parentheses so I could see into your eyes. Linda Ronstadt, Rod Stewart duet. And then there was the George Michael and Joan Jett version, quickly remade, interestingly enough. It was the first, they called it the Quad Collab. But my hair was brushing against my nose. It wasn't so much in my eyes. But that's what inspired me. Bernie Elton and I to write the song for those. This was the power of time travel. Scientists everywhere say, hold on a second. You used time travel to go back in time to write a song with Elton and Bernie so that it could be two versions, a double duet. Well, technically not a double duet because it's separate. It's four separate, not actually a quad collab because there's 7 of us collaborating, or 8, 7 or 8, depending if you count the present and the past versions of me. Also, I invited this is where I broke this time-space. If you wonder what's wrong with the time-space continuum, holy cow, you're in the right place, because I invited myself, when I went into the past, my past self that was in the present, I said, I got great news. I've co-opted time travel, but I guess I was only I was at an age where I just didn't understand, so I couldn't appreciate it. And I said, all this time travel, and you're so ungrateful to me. One day, you won't understand, and you'll do this again. One day, you'll be doing this again. Oh, boy, if you're confused, you say, what am I doing here? And maybe you need more of an explanation of that later. I don't know if I'll have time, but I hope I will. Welcome to Sleep With Me, a podcast that's here to put you to sleep. Really, the show does not put you to sleep. It's here to keep you company while you drift off, to break the loneliness of the deep, dark night, to give you a friend, a friendly voice, a distraction, some comfort, so that you could drift off or just, have something to keep you company if you can't sleep. Or either or, and plus. Quad, that's a duet. This is a duet at bedtime, but you don't have to sing or listen. Now, the other things to know, you talk more about this coming up here, but this is a podcast you don't really listen to. You can just kind of barely listen. But most people don't like this show. It doesn't work for them on the first try. I mean, I know from the reviews lately, it does for some people, and that's great. Because if you get this, you say, I've been looking for this. I never knew something like this was out there, but I've been looking for it. But for most people, it takes a couple listens for that to happen, just because the show is so different. So give it a few tries, see how it goes. What we got coming up is support. That's a great thing about having this podcast come out free to anybody who needs it at all. The ad-supported version allows us to do that, and the listener support allows us to put the show out. Between the ad support and the listener support, you don't have to pay for the show. Totally optional. Then there's a long, meandering intro. This is kind of part of the intro, I guess. The rest of the intro is meant to ease you into bedtime. Then we'll have some support, then a bedtime story. And oh boy, this is a 2-parter bedtime story. I think the first part will be like part personal essay and part talking about Ikea furniture. And then the next part will be us going shopping at Ikea and then doing some assembly, right? I think that's what we got. I mean, I don't know the order of everything. Or maybe we go shopping tonight. I don't know, because it's but anyway, if you're already mixed up and you feel like this is some convoluted, strange show, welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep. And these sponsors are how I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week.
This show is supported by Blue Land. Living a cleaner and more sustainable lifestyle by reducing single-use plastics is a small action that makes a big difference. And Blue Land is on a mission to make it easy for everyone to make those sustainable choices. They believe that hardworking, clean products can be the norm, not the exception, so that you can do better for your family and the planet at the same time. From cleaning sprays and toilet bowl cleaner to dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, Blue Land's 100% microplastic-free, EPA Safer Choice certified formulas are safe to use around people, pets, and plants. You'll love not having to choose between the safe option and what actually gets your house clean. Blue Land products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands, and the formulas are free from dyes, parabens, and harsh chemicals. Plus, Blue Land is a certified B Corp and certified cruelty-free by Leaping Bunny. Their formulas are EPA Safer Choice certified, and many have received the Gold Material Health Certificate from Cradle to Cradle. And right now, Blue Land has a special offer for listeners. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/PRX. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/PRX for 15% off. That's blueland.com/PRX to get 15% off. Museums are more than places we visit on a field trip. Across the country, museums protect our shared history, care for wildlife and collections, strengthen local economies, support job training, and spark curiosity in people of all ages. Right now, you can help make sure museums stay strong for future generations. Museum Advocacy Day is a national moment when people contact Congress to ask for continued support for museums and the federal agencies that fund them. Learn how to take action at aam-us.org and tell your representatives that museums matter to education, to communities, to the economy, and to our democracy.
All right, everybody, Scoots here, and this is one I know we've covered IKEA before, and for home furnishings, but I think it's been a while. And actually, I start off with this is it may not be applicable anymore, and it may only be applicable in certain areas. Well, let me Google it, but I have a big time IKEA pro tip. Okay, let's see. I just Googled it. Okay, Monday through Thursday. Okay, so I guess it's only sometimes an offer, so you got to keep an eye out for, they have restaurant specials. If you sign up for the IKEA family card, which is free to sign up for. I mean, obviously you got to, let them see what you buy and stuff like that. So I guess like the restaurant has specials, but, oh yeah, so I guess they have specials every day. So maybe it was only that day. Are you kidding me? Let's see, Eat and Save. Let's see what this is. Oh, yeah, so that was Memorial Day, and that's when I went there. Okay, so it's only Memorial Day, but I keep an eye out for it. So basically, so it's not the best pro tip because it was only on that weekend, but you could spend money at their restaurant, which is a cafeteria. I didn't even think about this. Like the IKEA restaurant is like might be the closest thing to the Kmart cafeteria I'll ever get to eat in again. And so on Memorial Day weekend, my daughter and I went there. It's now middle of July when I'm recording this. And you could use your IKEA card after you paid for your food, and you would get that off of your purchase if you bought something over like $150 or whatever, which is a pretty nice deal. Like we spent $26, so then we got $26 off when we checked out of the store. So I wanted to do maybe a part of assembly episode and then going through IKEA. And let's see if I can just go through IKEA. The one by me that I go to is in Emeryville. I've seen one listener there. And I think I was eating either a hot dog or a slice of pizza. And I think the listener ended up going to the live show at some point. But I don't want to say who they are because I don't want to break, to say, well, I keep it down low when I'm at IKEA. But they recognize me, which is pretty rare for me to get recognized. And I mean, I guess in the Bay Area, it's more likely. So, okay, so the IKEA, we were going, I guess this would be a little personal essay. Maybe this will be a two-parter. Who knows how long this will take. So let's see. Let me back up and tell you the situation. Now, and I don't know a lot about IKEA, the company, so maybe some people have strong feelings about it. But I've never been a person, I live in the Bay Area, where a lot of your resources just go to covering the cost of housing, right? And so over the history of my life, that's just been the situation. It continues to be. It's just a pricey place to live. And I don't know, like I've always rented. And, well, I guess that's another part of it. It's like I've always been a renter, and I don't see that stopping at this point in my life. And so... And a lot of people say IKEA is fast furniture, and I honestly would not. Maybe for people that go from renting to owning a home, but we've had the IKEA furniture that we've had for as long as I've been. My daughter and I have kind of as long as I've been a single parent, pretty much. And I can kind of run through kind of, I mean, not all of our furniture has been IKEA furniture, but I have an IKEA dresser. I was a Malm. I'm sure we did an episode about Malm, M-A-L-M. Maybe not, though. And that's where my, I don't think that's the first piece of IKEA furniture I bought, but originally I had a Malm bed, like a headboard, footboard, and bed. And I bought that used, so I didn't even buy, I don't think, I'm pretty sure, maybe I bought a new Malm bed, but I'm pretty sure some of my IKEA furniture, at least. I mean, I know when it comes to desks, we bought maybe one, and then two I've bought used. So definitely a mom bed, but then I worked with a company for a little while. It was one of our first sponsors, and they had an adjustable bed base, and so I got to test that out. So I sold the Malm on that I probably had already bought used on Craigslist. And so it's not fast furniture because somebody out there purchased it and was using it after that. And then I had a Malm dresser. And then eventually we would have a Malm chest of drawers. We never had a dresser. And then a smaller chest of drawers. I don't know what you call that. I may have even had a nightstand or two at some point. I don't know. I don't think so. And so we still have that chest of drawers and the half chest of drawers and other stuff. Yeah, let's talk about it. We have three different. Our kitchen table, our dining room table was a very small rectangular, not like something where you just put the legs on. It's just a piece of fiberboard covered in laminate. And then that became a desk. And then I bought another one and even a third one. So at some point when we moved to the place 2018 we live now, we had one of them was our kitchen table again for a while. I wonder if we had another thing we were using as a kitchen table. That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. Then I have, that's some other IKEA furniture I have. Then we have a lot of these cube things because my daughter's room in our old place, when we shared a one bedroom where I lived in the living room. Half the living room was my bedroom, these were the glory days, most of my adult life, or most of my, it's where I got sober and where majority of the podcast was produced. So I had a curtain down the middle of the living room, and on one side of the curtain was my Malm bed and my Malm chest of drawers. Then the other side was other furniture. None of it was IKEA furniture, though. Most of it was used furniture. Then in my daughter's room, she had the wall bed, eventually the wall bed that we assembled. Before that, she had another bed that I had bought with an IKEA tent. Her IKEA tent bed. And then, what else do we have? So, but most of her room, especially once we got the wall bed was, had these cube things. I forget what they're called. They're very popular. We had pink ones and white ones. So they were like a rectangle. They're cubbies. Oh, that's what they are. That's not what IKEA calls them, but they call them like inox or something. I don't know what they call it, but it might even come to me. But so we still have a bunch of those. And what's my point? I'm just trying to think of what other furniture. Those cubes. We probably have 2 pink ones and 2 white ones, or maybe 3 pink ones even. And those are in transition. And then my daughter has an IKEA bed frame. Just a nice tubular white metal frame with a headboard and no footboard, but, and anything else? Nothing else comes to mind right off the top of my head, but so recently, if you follow the podcast at all, in April, my apartment, I live in an upstairs, downstairs apartment, where the downstairs, technically in the Bay Area, there's not very many basements. My building that I live in was kind of built into the side of it's not a hill, but into the side of some land. So part of it is underground, but and then part of it is not the downstairs. So it's a basement essentially. The only 50% of it's underground. 50% of it's the left wall and the what do you call that? And the western wall and the southern walls are underground, and the other 2 walls are not. Just so you could really get, I don't know, it's just so I could confuse you and put you to sleep even more. And then the upstairs is where the kitchen, the bathroom, and the living room are. And at one point, it was a studio apartment upstairs, and then downstairs was an office, or it was unused at different periods of the history. Not when I lived here, though. Now downstairs there's just the 2 bedrooms. But so, like, and we got lucky because we moved in 2018. And part of the reason we moved was, like, to be a little bit closer to where my daughter was going to middle school. I mean, which worked out for a year. I mean, we were closer to that school for a year. And then, because we were moving right at the beginning, we moved right before the 2019 school year, I think. I think that's when we moved. I think these numbers are correct, but I mean, I am a person that makes the sleep podcast primarily. None of that's super important other than the fact that so recently, and I talked about this on the show before, but I do want to talk about it because I want to tell people like that are wired like I am, like with a powerful imagination and powerful inner dialogue with an imagination is how I'll put it. That's as softly as I can put it, right? I got inner dialogues. I mean, I have multiple inner dialogues, and some of them, a lot of them focus on the future and the past, right? And they tell me all sorts of things. And one of them was like, oh, what if you go out of town and because you live in this basement, like some water comes into your place? Wouldn't that be like not great? And there was once or twice where I did feel like, I don't know. So I actually bought like a water detector, but that thing has to be plugged in and charged, or the battery. It doesn't take a normal battery. Leak detector. So there's a bit of important point is like if you do have a leak detector, make sure it's actually not buried under a bunch of other junk without the battery being on. But it wasn't important. The leak detector really wouldn't have done anything in this particular scenario, I don't think. Okay, so one of the things I always said is like, well, that's probably so unlikely, but even that inner part of me was always fixated on it. Every time I'd go out of town longer than a few days, it would tell me, oh boy, just you wait. You know, was it like not always in my Nana's voice, but she's the one that's, oh boy, just you wait, Mr. Hotshot, got to live in a half basement there. So what do you mean? Like how does that, well, oh boy, there you go. Well, just you wait. You'll see. So, every time that would be in the deep back of my mind, because I'd say, whoa, like, and part of the thing is, and I'm trying to put this as softly as I can, but I want to be relatable because I have a positive message actually. But also sometimes a positive message that if you think like I do, you're not alone. Or if you could relate or you know somebody that it's not, this is just how it is. And I've learned to be a little bit more loving and kind and able to be more adaptable, even though, and accepting that part of me that's just always fixated on that stuff. But one of the messages, which I say is maybe it is explicit. I guess it's kind of explicit. I mean, I don't mean in the rating sense. I was trying to say, is it implicit or explicit message? I guess it can be either one, that it's like Drew, and I'm saying this on behalf, some part of me says this on behalf of me. Drew's just not, he's not able to handle those kind of things. So that's why I have to constantly fixate on it. Because let's just say in this example that actually happened, so it kind of, we're seeing the paper dragon being unfolded here a little bit, right? If Drew was to go out of town and it was one of these new things he's been trying to do, which is a vacation and a working trip, back to back, to make it more affordable on airfare, but also just more comforting for him. Where he goes and does a little bit of a vacation with his daughter, and then she flies back with somebody else, and then he stays somewhere and does some on-location recording and scouting. So none of that's a good idea because, I don't think Drew should be, I know that he needs to have breaks or record on location, and it's something he loves doing, but I don't recommend it. But also, by the way, what happens if some sort of mysterious thing happens while he's gone and his apartment gets filled up with water, not weather related, even though it's a time in California where there was a lot of weather. But, what would happen there, huh? I don't know if Drew would be cut out for that. But what happens is, everybody, it turns out that did happen. And I talked about it because, like, on some social media stuff, because I did have to take, I had to alter some podcasting plans and record in the car and stay with friends because, it just, so what did happen was I flew back to California. I believe it was a Sunday night. I'm almost positive. And I got home very, very early in the late at night, early in the morning. Now, luckily, I flew into Oakland, which I live really close to the Oakland airport. And I was able to finally get an Uber. That was like, or Lyft or whatever. It was very that can be challenging, especially when you live close. Then a lot of people turn you down. And so I had a nice ride home. And then I was like, okay, let me get ready for bed and just go to bed. And I got my book, and then I maybe even brushed my teeth and stuff. And then I went downstairs. I still had my socks on. And as soon as something was off right away, but then as soon as my foot hit the bottom, my sock instantly became soaked. And I discovered that there was a substantial amount of water. Okay, and then I managed. So this already, for the internal part of me, would have been like, oh, no, this is beyond Drew's capacity. 1 a.m, apartments flooded downstairs. So then I started to, and by the way, all the downstairs was wall to wall. Kind of like, it's not the greatest, like some carpet that was it was tolerable. It was not bad to walk on. But it was like somewhat like half industrial residential carpet, easy to vacuum. So, but also absorbs a lot of water. So then I started kind of looking around. I said, okay, this is really not good. And then I think I unplugged some stuff that was, to be cautious. And then I kind of listened, and I couldn't hear any like anything. Then I went up to the bathroom because the bathroom's above where the leak was, but there's nothing. I looked under all our sinks, checked my toilet. Then I went back downstairs and checked the roof line. I couldn't find any place where the water was coming in. And then I was kind of sitting there, and I was like, okay, well, it's 1 a.m. I don't know if I had a number to call my landlord. So I said, well, I don't know if there's anything they can really do about it right now. And probably the best thing for me to do is to go to bed and get some sleep. And then as soon as I get up, trying to get in touch with my landlord, which is pretty easy. And something I'm grateful for, that I do have a pretty responsible landlord. Which is not always the case, when you're renting. I've been in that situation previously. And no joke, and I did spend about an hour finding the biggest, because also the downstairs is not 100% even. So the water was not distributed evenly. And the carpet, luckily, in some sense, where the water was not distributed evenly, the carpet was soaking up a lot of liquid, but also wicking it, spreading it even where it wasn't. So the water I actually the lowest places were my room, my bedroom, and the podcast studio. But the good news is all the podcast equipment was a little bit off the ground. I mean, not very high off the ground, but just another piece of luck is everything was sitting on something so it wouldn't be in touch with the carpet. I think just because I thought about it would overheat, or maybe I was paranoid. I don't know. But so after kind of doing some basic picking up of stuff off the floor that was absorbing water, and then even finding stuff that wasn't going to make it, I said, I'm going to try to go to bed. And I remember, like, it was literally next to my bed was like squish, like it was like, it was literally puddles, you know. But like, I was like, I was tired because I was on East Coast time too. So it was about 4 or 5 in the morning. But I was able to like read my book and fall asleep. I would just follow my normal, abbreviated version of my normal bedtime routine. And I went to bed. And then the next morning, I don't think I've told this story anywhere. Maybe I have. But talk about, like I didn't sleep in too long. I think I woke up around 8 a.m. Like I was hoping to get 8 hours of sleep, but whatever, you know. And I got up and I was getting like, I was just went up and used the WC and poured myself a coffee. And the next thing I know, I look out of my window to where I park my car, our driveway. There's a pickup truck in the driveway. And like literally, if I look out from my kitchen sink, I can see the next bungalow where my neighbors live, like a little bungalow. I think that's what you'd call it. Like, and my neighbor's like answering his door without a shirt on. And it's the, kind of the superintendent for all the housing my landlord owns. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, so then I put a shirt on and I don't know, shorts maybe or whatever. I wasn't, I had something, I had boxers on or whatever. So I put shorts and a shirt on. And then I go out there and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, and my neighbor says, well, these guys are here because I've been hearing this water sound below my apartment. And, like the water's on, but all my water's off. And I was like, dude, my whole downstairs, I was just going to email and mail the landlord because, fill out because, my apartment's flooded. And then the next thing we know, like, they're trying to find the source of the leak. And interestingly enough, just to like tell you what happened was like, so like, in California, you build and you rebuild and stuff like that. And I don't totally understand it, but I guess what happened was there was like a water line coming from the water main, going underneath his apartment, my neighbor's apartment, and ending just like capped off in this planter in front of my apartment under the ground. And at some point, like a pricker bush had grown and got in and created a hole in this thing. And then it was leaking underneath, ostensibly through the foundation, which is the wall of my basement downstairs, and filling it up with water. But like, talk about my internal nana and those things being wrong. One, well, I mean, it could have been different. It could have been a bigger leak or it could have been a bigger hole in the foundation. So yeah, it could have. But like, what things to be grateful for, that it was not a humongous leak. Another thing is that it started, like I got back on Sunday, it started like somewhere, must have started, he heard it, I think, on Friday night or Saturday night. And so it had only been going for like a couple of days. Then my neighbor noticed it and already had acted. Like he had sent a message out that Sunday afternoon or something before he went to bed or night. And then, that I had a responsible landlord that was like, okay, we'll figure out what the cause is, and then we'll start figuring out how to take everything out and dry everything. But that meant a little bit of chaos in my me and my daughter's life. But also a hidden benefit of that, I mean, honestly, really, like, was that like we had to move everything out of each room and basically like, so everything went into her room. And then they kind of got everything out of the hallway in my room and the podcast studio, and then dried out all those floors. And then they moved everything into, and then maybe replaced the floor. I can't remember the order. And then moved everything out of my daughter's room into my bedroom. and then dried out her room and the floors. But maybe they did the drying. I don't know how the order exactly. But basically everything that would have been on the floor, which is pretty much everything, like moved from room to room. And eventually all ended up in my bedroom, which, meant even after the floors were done, and even now, but my daughter, she's now a high schooler. So it's kind of cool because it's like everything from her, it was a little bit she's an adaptable kid. I'm an adaptable dad. And that's kind of like the lesson. I said, well, it wasn't really as bad as my internal parts of me, my dialogues would have made it out to be. And not only could I handle it, but we did handle it. And there is some even more plus sides because it's like, we haven't really done a lot of purging of like the old stuff, but we've, cut down on a little bit, and now it's all centralized. So of course, it's centralized in my room, but it's a little bit more organized. And then it's like, okay, now your room, which for a teenager, I think, her room is now more sparse, which led to this trip to Ikea. Now that all her cubbies are in my room, but eventually they'll go into our little storage area. And we'll go from there. But yeah, so what we'll talk about next is, I don't know, let's see if I'll feel it out. Like, should we walk through IKEA or start putting furniture together? I don't know. Let me think about it for a second. All right, so Scoot's here, and let's go into my local IKEA. Maybe it's whatever time it was I got there, 10... Or not at opening. I didn't rope drop the IKEA. Now, unfortunately, it was not, I did not time my meal around it either, so I did not eat at the IKEA. And the cool thing is they have like a little bit of like a Costco-like action after you check out too. But they also have that cafeteria I was talking about earlier, restaurant, however you want to refer to it. But we're not there yet. We're going in. We parked our car. Usually I park on level 2 or 3 and descending down the staircase. And now we're crossing. We could see the Bay Bridge, and the intersection of actually 80, 880, 580. I guess it's not the end of 80, is it? Or the beginning of 80? I don't think so. But, well, let's see, take 880 south or 580. I don't know what goes over the Bay Bridge. That's 101, right? I don't know. Where 80, where did you go? I don't know. Because you got 5 runs north. I don't know. That's good. These are good questions that I don't have the answers to. I'm just going into an IKEA now. We got to pass. Do we pass the exit, or is the exit further down? I think the exit's further down. We go in here. They got a nice setup here. I believe there's also restrooms to the left, but we're going to take the escalator up to the 2nd floor. And the first thing I noticed on this trip was right at the top of the escalator. Well, not right at the top. That's me being, but like a few steps away. The first display on our right was a clearance display. And I said, wait a second, this is a clearance display or whatever, like sale. And they had some different things on sale, but a couple of things I was looking for, which was storage. They had some small rubber tubs or plastic tubs with lids. And then they had these boxes, and I'll refer to the boxes if we go, but they're made from plastic, but a kind of box, a sturdy box to put stuff in. I mean, isn't that what we're all looking for? A sturdy box to put something in. And I was flying solo, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I did enjoy some of the people that were enjoying being there. Families, couples, couples of many different ages, friends, or I noticed one group of 3 people together, maybe college or grad student age. enjoying their Saturday I'd say that's a late morning, after 10 a.m. And I think even the Ikea restaurant serves breakfast. But as I said, I was not, I had already had a meal. So, and I knew what I was looking for, but I still decided, and I did debate it. You're like, I think later is where we're at the turning point, or we're already at the turning point where you could take a left and then just go downstairs and skip the whole casino-style layout of the second floor of Ikea. I will say a strong recommend at this time of day at Ikea because sometimes it is just too busy for me, and then the casino-style layout. What do you mean casino-style layout, Scoots? I mean a layout where you're following a path. It feels like you're on rails, essentially, as they say in a video game, because you're following a path that goes through different IKEA sections and whatever you call them. I don't know, display areas. Yeah, like fake apartments and stuff like that. And I'm not calling you in a fake apartment. You're a faux layout. I don't know. Display, a demonstration area. They're well done. There's no criticism here. But there's like, you go through, it's not the most direct path. And normally, I could say this in contrast to this visit and my previous visit, my energy level's not impacted usually. I don't know if it's because it's busy or just my headspace, but when I get home from Ikea, I say I need to lie down for a little while. I can't put my finger on it, but I just don't know if it's a physical or existential exhaustion, but I got to lie down. This time and last time I left somewhat invigorated. Okay, so back to what was on sale with the plastic bins and the tubs. Then I continued on. Mostly, as I said, I looked at, I saw the displays. I did walk through one apartment. Now, what was the case we were trying to solve? The case of the rest of the dresser and maybe a full-length mirror. I think those were the only two things I was looking for. And you'd say, what do you mean the rest of the dresser? I'd say, well, I'll explain that more, but basically I only have a car. The seats do fold down in the back. It's a hatchback. I don't think they call it a classic car, but they don't make it anymore. The Volt, 2016 or 2017 Chevy Volt. But the seats do fold down in that. But at the same time, you can only put so much in there. So we had made a previous trip that I was talking about, doing scouting for a dresser, and then we found this modular style dresser, and I'll be honest with you, I said, okay, well, what do you think? And then my daughter made a choice. She said, okay, I think this color and this particular layout. And then we went and researched it on the computer. I think that's when we were more looking at it, is on the computers towards the warehouse section. So I'm jumping far ahead. But on our previous visit, we had picked up about 50% of the dresser. We had picked up because you buy the pieces separately anyway. So we'd got one set of smaller drawers and one set of larger drawers. So we picked up 6 of 9 drawers. We still had to pick up one set of 3 smaller drawers, or like a mini dresser, and the top and the bottom of what would become the dresser. We would assemble and then assemble again. Not reassemble, but continuing assembling, I guess. But now I'm ahead of myself because first we were scouting for mirrors and so we'd already picked up 2 bins, 2 plastic tubs, and then 2 larger plastic I'd call it a basket. You could call it a bin, a cube, not as big as a milk crate, but a milk carton crate or whatever they called those. But you get the idea, around that size, and then two smaller tubs with lids. And then we passed another, like, section eventually. I think it was like, it was a random section. I want to say there was like bath mats, but there's some other thing for storing stuff. And I did have the impression that any of these, on sale organizational items could change my life forever. That this might be the one. A lot of people do that as, and then they fall in love with people or from afar. And I didn't have any romantic attachment. I just a strange, like, codependent. I said, maybe this will be the tub with a lid or this organizer that fixes it, finally does it. And then I said, well, realistically, but I did have some things in mind anyway. So I said, okay, well, it's on sale as well. And it had a comparison point. I'll be honest with you. Let's just talk. We're friends, We're here walking Ikea together, talking Ikea. That could be another one with Scott, Adam and Scott, or, Scott and Adam Scott, talking hiking Ikea. Are you hiking Ikea? Who, me? That's good. Even though it doesn't make any sense, like one Scott could be saying, are you hiking Ikea? You hiking Ikea? Yeah, just you hiking Ikea. And then the other Adam could say, who, me? It doesn't make any sense. I realize that, but could I haikus at haiku Ikea? But then you'd have to have, then it'd mostly be a haikus or haichu, if you could get it double branded, haichu Ikea, haichus at Ikea. And then you're a podcast, this is a podcast pitch, walking through an Ikea on mic, tasting haichus and reviewing them or just talking about them. Haichu Ikea. It'd be confused, but people that are looking, they say, well, I love Ikea and I love haichus. So maybe I'll check that show out. Who does it? And I said, well, imaginary people right now. It's actually an imaginary, probably only be an imaginary podcast. So you subscribe anytime. As many episodes are out as you want them to be. You just have to lie back and imagine. Or sit up, or be walking. Are you? I don't know. Those two are wittier than me, so they could think of it. Maybe IQ to IKEA to me. Like IQ, like IQ tests at IKEA could be another one. These would be like more one. I guess that wouldn't be sustainable. Like if you started giving IQ tests at a desk, I don't even know what an IQ test is, probably pretty involved. So haichu is probably easier. I don't know. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, thinking that an organizer is going to change my life. What a life to change, So then I picked up that so right now I had 5 things in my box, 3 different products, two cubes, 2 tubs with lids, green. Probably why they're on sale. They're, not the most attractive tubs. I can't figure out why the bins are on sale. Probably because they're plastic and the bottom's plastic, so you can't if you put anything heavy on them, they're probably going to break. But I just put stuff, but usually it's just paper, So I had those things in my cart. And I was still on patrol. My purpose there, full-length mirror for my daughter's room. And ideally one that would be easy to install. Because we have one. Just one of my great procrastinations. I had installed it in our old apartment in her room when she was just a child. Maybe behind her door. And either one of us could use it because it was the only full-length mirror in our apartment. I think I mistakenly tried to put it on the doors and then realized the doors were too thin. But it involved like leveling and this kind of stuff that just is too much performance pressure for me. So that mirror never made it back to a wall again. Maybe one day it will, but so far, even moving here and having the entire, like from 2018 to 2023, still hasn't got up there. So I said to myself, maybe get a new mirror or, if not, buy the, kit to mount it on the wall again. So that's what that was the one new item so far I was trying to find. But this is a ways away. And I said to myself many times when I was walking, where would a person find a stand-up mirror in an Ikea? Was it, I thought it was right before you go down the stairs after you're at the cafeteria. That's where I was anticipating it. I said, I could swear that's where many, many years ago, when it was just a mirror, when it was just a procrastination, something I would follow through on and then procrastinate on one day. But it turns out, spoiler, not to be the case. That's not where I found the mirror. But so, and I don't think it was we were downstairs. I guess I'm not sure. No, were we upstairs? Upstairs. No. Okay, so you go through endless amounts of Ikea at this point. Maybe it was downstairs. I'm lost. I think upstairs you have sections like you got your kitchen and cabinets. That's like a big custom section. That's close to the restaurant, but not at the restaurant. You start out with like a couple apartments, fully furnished, small apartments. Then I think you got your sofas and still a lot of different layouts on the right side and your sofas on the left. Then you get into your offices, and your office furniture. Then you get into more sofas, like sleeper sofas and chairs. And then you probably get into your kitchen parts, other sections that I know, but I don't know what order they go into. Mattresses, and some bedding, but there's more bedding later. No bedding, not TT, bedding, like mattresses and sleep stuff. Kitchens, kids stuff. Kids stuff is right before the restaurant, though. I don't know if they do that on purpose or not, but last time I was there, I bought two birthday presents, but one was wrong age. I had the age wrong, but that came in handy because it kept it at my house. And then when I had some family member over with their younger kids, I said, well, don't worry, I got this wooden Ikea toy. It'll keep you entertained. It did. I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, for a kid, it held their attention for a bit. What else? So I think that covers the section. So I don't think the mirror section was upstairs, so it may have been. Then you go downstairs, and this is at this point, if you haven't lost track of who you are, there is it follows a hero's journey. Like all the parts, though, the confusing parts, denouement at the inmost cave, meeting with my mother for cookies or whatever, atonement from the father. All those are like staples of IKEA shopping. There could be another talk. What's the hero's journey? Of course, now I can't think of Campbell. Caring for Campbell at Ikea. Caring for Campbell, communicating Campbell at Ikea. You just take the I out. I don't know. So you always wonder, how come this aren't in movies? Or, they're very, you say, what does approach at the inmost cave mean? Say, I think it was other than Star Wars, I don't know. But I do know there's a section in Ikea where I'm not sure if I'm upstairs or downstairs. But I see, I start to look at things and I see I see 8 places inside me that those are the only places that feel comfortable for them to be revealed to me. or, those feelings make themselves apparent right around the rug section, which I know a lot of times, which I think is downstairs. That for me, the rug section is not where the pit of despair is, but that's where I know, like these 2 trips, I said, well, I'm nowhere near the pit of despair. So great. I think I'm going to get out of here and, fully intact without, this may be, that was what I said the last time. I had my daughter with me and we had this wonderful meal. Don't ask me what we ate because I don't know. But because I said, is this food really going to be free? And that kid has like a 0 type cola and refill station. And we had this beautiful view, and this is no joke because they have windows where you look out at the Bay Bridge and the bay. I mean, the freeway's in front of it, but it still looks great. But yeah, so I did not approach the inmost cave at all. And I said, so I haven't been in the inmost cave. I don't have to worry about when I'm going to find the pit of despair, probably. So anyway, at some point you go downstairs, then there's like kitchenware, general like stuff you would buy on impulse, which I did do an impulse purchase of a carafe with a sealable lid, but I've been making a lot of lemonade and iced tea. So it wasn't really like a outrageous, purchase. Because those ones with the mason jar, the clamp down lid that you can't lose, really like that. So I'd added another thing to my Ikea pile in my cart. And then, downstairs you go through kitchen stuff, carpets, more bedding stuff. I think bedding's towards the end. But then you get into lighting. Now, this was the first area, lamps, lights, things to light things. And I had to stop myself. I almost made a couple impulse buys of things that were on sale there. Different holiday lights that were on clearance. But I said, wait a second, dude, do you really, I said that to myself, dude, do you really need this? I said, well, I don't know, but I want it. There's a couple I don't know. It's just like, hold off. You already got, I think we got our impulse buys that we may actually use some of these. And I said, well, just 1 pack of lights. And I said, no, like if you use the lights you have, you can get more lights. And I said, okay, fair enough. Now, I'm pretty sure it was after the lights when again I said to myself, wait a second, I haven't seen any of these full-length mirrors and I've been looking for them, even though I haven't been narrating the fact that I was looking for him. I knew my quest that day, one of my quests from the goddess, communing with the goddess or whatever. Didn't do any of that either, but commuted for the goddess. But eventually what I did was, I think, in the area with prints and frames, I saw on my left mirrors, and I saw a family actually looking at the mirrors. And they're like, they were discussing full-length mirrors, and then I start, so it was a little awkward because I'm awkward on whatever on the get down. And so I was trying to move around them to look at the different pricing and sizes. And then I found a wall that was it had 3 layers where you could move the wall. I know that's not a very good description, but where there's 3 different levels of 3 different rows of mirrors, and you slide the wall, and then you can see the next mirror, and then you slide it again. And this kid, his family was ignoring him because they were discussing full-length mirrors, which, by the way, you could spend anywhere. I don't know what the cheapest one is. That's the one that we've had at our house, not to brag, for years. But it's just a mirror with mounting hardware, no frame or anything. I'm guessing you get that for $20. I didn't even see it this trip. The single father mirror, let's just call it. That's but then they have ones with frames, and you could spend anywhere from $20 or $30 up to get pretty big mirrors. And mine one was looking for a manageable size. So then I saw one that I said, okay, it had a frame, a wooden frame. I said, that might be easier to mount and maybe less leveling. And I noted its information by taking a picture of its tag. And I think the frames came in like black and white. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'll have to figure that out. But I still has had this, and I don't know which part of this one it is. Here's the thing. I never got any mentors, allies at this trip to Ikea. Maybe this kid, because he was loving watching me slide the mirrors around. And then I said, go ahead, take it. So maybe I was being the mentor. I said, you want to kill some time while your parents are talking about that mirror? You could just move these things. Just watch your fingers. So I moved on. And actually, that was it. I checked some. Oh, no. Did I get that pot, too? And that was on a previous trip, I think. I bought a pot, but for plants. But that was like a terracotta one. But that was on another trip. But so then I made it to where you finally escape. Not into. So this could be where you encounter this isn't where you have the pit of despair because you're already. First of all, they have tons of natural lighting in the warehouse area and lighting in general. So I got there and then I went to they have computer stations, where you could, cause nobody remembers anything, but I had to look up the pieces I needed for this dresser. And I still said, well, I have a vague dissatisfaction with the mirror. And so I think I first looked up where the dresser parts were and I wrote that down or took a picture. I took a picture of it. I didn't write anything down. And I said, okay, and that was where we had already been because we had already picked up two of the parts we needed the last time we were there. And then I looked up mirrors and I said, wait a second, I found this mirror that was like a stand-up mirror. It has a stand. So it's actually more full length. You could see your feet in your shoes and you don't have to hang it on a wall. And it's also has a metal, like a metal type frame. And I kind of remembered my daughter. I said, wait a second, you could put that right. Okay, I think we have space for that even. So I wrote down that number too. And it was a reasonable price. And I said, okay. And then I set forth, to gather my parts. First was the parts for the dresser, because unfortunately the dresser parts were closer to where I was. So I was managed to put the smaller 3-drawer dresser on the bottom of the shopping cart. I didn't get one of their modular carts. That was a mistake, by the way, because I should have then tried to get allies, or if I met with the mentor. If I thought this was actually going to be about the hero's journey, I would have actually looked stuff up. Call to adventure, that part, check. I don't know, it went pretty smooth. So I wouldn't say it was an adventure for me because I actually did it. And so then so I got that, put it on the bottom thing. Then the next part was really, really big, long, not heavy, because it was going to be the top and the bottom of a dresser. Like the lid and the base. So I put that on top of the cart, right? The shopping cart, your standard shopping cart, except for Ikea's all 4 wheels go all directions. I don't know if that's a European thing, but it does make it easier if you got to move to the side or whatever. So I got that on there. Then I went to the mirror section. Double-checked what I thought. I said, okay, I'm going to go for it. Now, the mirror fit right on top of the long dresser thing because the mirror was also long. But now I had a problem because I had a glass carafe and a bunch of other stuff in my shopping cart, and I still had to check out, right? So what I did was, here's the thing. If you don't do it like I do it, I ask for help because I only got lucky. What I did was I jammed my shopping cart next to a stack of tables, boxed tables, and then held the shopping cart with my hip while I moved everything so it was on the table. Then I pulled out all the stuff in my shopping cart, piled it on the floor, then put everything back, then piled it back on, precariously, by the way. I got lucky. Then I went to check out. I checked out with a human. No, this time I did not check out with a human. Last time I did. And then I, rang on all my items. Then I also did my hip check move against the checkout so that I could put everything back in the cart so it wasn't precarious when I was leaving the store. And then I, it paid, and then I whimpered a little, like, because you say, wait a second, I thought I was only going to spend like $120, but it's still a good deal. I don't know. I think a lot of people listen to this podcast are in the same place. You either live in a very area that's like the Bay Area, or you're young, you're in a different phase of your life. And Ikea or that kind of furniture is just fine, and it's actually not fast furniture. I mean, and I'm not even trying to make myself feel better. Like everything I have, I always put on Craigslist. If it's messed up, I put it on there for free. Furniture wise, or I sell it for like $20 or $50 or whatever. Like, I know I sold my mom bed, which I think I bought used. So it's like, man, that's 3 rounds with that mom bed. And, trying to think, I've sold other things at Craigslist recently, but they weren't, Ikea furniture. You do have to be patient, with selling stuff, and I've given stuff away for free. And then, so then we left and I checked out, loaded my car. Again, I probably should have asked for help there, but that actually went smooth. I don't know the order. First, I got everything, secured the cart, secured the mirror someplace safe so I couldn't break it. Then put the 3-drawer small thing in, maybe in the back seat, folded the seats down, put that in first. Oh, yeah, then I had to push the passenger seat all the way forward. So it's a good thing I was by myself. And then I got the dresser and then I put the mirror on top, and then I got the other pieces and put them in the front seat on the floor. And that was it. That was a trip to Ikea. Maybe another time we'll put everything together. But thanks for joining me on this personal journey. Some Ikea stops in my life. Good night, everybody. All right. I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently. I want to thank Emmett, Ann, and Kimberly. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Ellen, Patar, and Davis. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Jamie, Jesse, and Nisha. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Tracy, Kelly, and Erica. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Arun, Michael, and Amanda. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Becca, Catherine, and Jason. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Greedy, Vala, and EJ. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. And Savannah, Natasha, and Greta. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody who supports the show on Patreon, supports the sponsors directly, or supports us on another platform. And thanks, everybody that spreads the word. I just recently had an interaction with somebody, and it dawned on me again for like the 50th time. It takes 3 times for people hearing Sleep With Me normally for them to check it out, like 3 different trusted sources. And they can go in kind of any order, but it's always like someone mentioning it, maybe seeing it somewhere online on social media posts or something, someone mentioning it again, or seeing somebody share about it on social media. So if you really want to help the show for free, you say, well, I love this podcast. I'm not in a position to financially support it. Spread the word once a month for the next 3 or 4 months, or once a week for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And you don't have to spam. You could just say, hey, this is my favorite episode of Sleep With Me. This is what Sleep With Me does. This is how I listen to Sleep With Me. And this is how I discovered Sleep With Me, like those kind of things. And that'll help the show grow. Or if you're like the person who had the most, introduced the most people to the podcast, who we're thinking of all the time, or I am, Cornelia, who would kind of just keep an eye out. Cornelia would keep an eye out online for conversations and say, hey, like about insomnia or whatever, and say, hey, one of the things I listen to is Sleep With Me, and this is how you listen to it. And I just want to, I'm thinking of you, Cornelia, and hope you're still listening to the show out there in the up, I see you there with the moon and the stars and stuff. Good night. All right, everybody, this is Scoots. This is a tuck you in message. And as I start this message out, I want to make this very clear, especially if you're listening right now and you're new. You only listen to this show occasionally, like once in a while when you need it, or you're just having a tough time right now, getting through something, getting over something, the kind of things I talk about in the intro. Or if you're like me, a lot of times in my life where things financially felt challenging and supporting the show just isn't possible, you really don't need to do anything. You don't need to support the show directly or be concerned because we really do have you. And I'm going to read through some testimonials of people that support the show for them and for you. And those testimonials are just a few of the thousands of people that support the show so it can be here for people that can't support the show, or it really wouldn't make sense if you're only listening occasionally, if you're new, for you to support the show. So we have you covered. Like the listeners who I'm going to read through tonight, and like I'm trying to return to doing, we've done in the past, they're the reason the show can be here night after night, and that you don't have to worry about him. But before we get to those testimonials, there is a BUT, right? If you are listening right now and you normally listen all night long to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes a night, or you listen most nights during the week, if you fall asleep fast and you just happen to be hearing this, or you've been listening longer than a year, if the show is a big part of your evenings, your wind down, and your sleep, you know, that's where I've been trying to be more and more clear and direct. I love making this podcast. The people that work with the show, work on the show, love making it. I love being a service, trying to bring sleepy joy and delight, help you fall asleep, bring you comfort in the deep, dark night. But the only way that happens is if you're in one of those listener categories, is if people that listen the same way as you do support the show. And we all go through seasons, right? So maybe you had your season of supporting the show, or maybe your season of supporting the show's coming up, or maybe you're like, well, I'm not sure. Let me look outside and see what I think. Or maybe you're hoping like that someone else will support the show, because it is either you or someone that listens like you supporting the show, or it's no one supporting the show tonight, right? It's either an all-night listener other than you, or you, the all-night listener, you, the multiple nights a week listener, you, the person that's been listening, or someone else that listens just like you. Or it's just to be clear, like that's really what keeps the show going and impacts ups and downs of the show. So I don't know if tonight's your night. If you are in a position to support the show, you've been putting it off, maybe think about supporting it right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. And don't wait for tomorrow or set some kind of thing tomorrow. Or kind of like me, think fondly of the person that we're both hoping steps up tonight, that all-night listener, that person that falls asleep fast, somebody that's been listening 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, or someone that's here every night with us. But who has you guys? You know, who's in the community supporting the show for everyone? Well, Melissa is. Melissa's been listening for over 2 years now, nearly nightly. So a nearly nightly listener. And it helps so much and puts me in a very relaxed mood. I finally subscribed when I realized on most nights I didn't have my phone with me, but I could literally recite the beginning of the podcast in my head. And even that in my head almost worked. And the reason I didn't do it sooner was part of it was cost, but now I'm in a financial place to do so. But the other part was complacency. I think forgetting to do it when I inevitably would fall asleep. I've always been one of the super listeners described on the show, and I kept putting it off. And I think that came from a place of having all free podcasts. I think it was just truly complacency. I think you say it well in the podcast. This show has given me so much support and help. It's time to turn around and support you and the team. it feels nice to feel like we have a hand in keeping it afloat, and that is really true. And Taylor also supported the show, and Taylor said, I'm an adult, late 20s, early 30s, go through brief periods of insomnia that last around a month, and I tried sleeping me on a friend's recommendation and bounced off it. It wasn't until a few years later when I was really struggling that I tried it again, and it worked. And I found the ads distracting and decided to try out ad-free ones by supporting the show, and found this version worked perfectly. The monthly cost is small compared to the benefit I get from the show. And even when my insomnia quiets down a bit, I still enjoy listening to the show because I like listening to Scooter. So thanks, Taylor. And then Stephanie. Stephanie has been listening for about 8 years. And I had the same experience Scooter just describes all the time. I tried the podcast and disliked it. I just didn't get it yet. And then later I was traveling. I thought I'd give her another try, and I've been listening since. And I really like the references on the show, some of the personal stories, and I can fall asleep really quickly now, and that's completely worth supporting the show. And I put on Sleep With Me also to make me feel more comfortable in other times. I just feel like I spend so much money on things that have no meaning in my life. This show means much more to me that I can't help but being a supporter. In the past, I felt like other people would take care of it for me, like there was people with limitless money who should be doing it for the rest of us. But once I really thought about how I spend my money and my deep relationship with the show, I realized I am one of the very few people who should be a supporter. It took a while, but I did so 3 years ago. I feel like I'm probably one of those super listeners. Scooter works hard for us, and hard work deserves fair compensation. And what about Debbie, who said, I listen almost every night, sometimes all night. I try to keep my queue full. I especially like the Trader Joe's episodes, and I feel comforted by a familiar voice. That's why I support Sleep With Me as a bore bestie, and it seems like a good value. The obstacle to me supporting the show was remembering to do so. Was to remember to do it once I decided to support this podcast. And if I feel responsible, free is great. But if something has worth, it's also important to support it financially. So thanks, Melissa, Taylor, Stephanie, and Debbie for supporting the show. It wouldn't exist without listeners like you. And maybe you relate to it. Maybe you're the person tonight, the Taylor, Stephanie, Debbie, Melissa tonight, that'll support the show. And when you do, I believe it or not, I send out a video and I ask you why. So I'm looking forward to hearing your why of why you support the show. Thanks.